Welcome back. You are watching The Fourth Estate. My name is Alan Kasuja. Martin is a commissioner in charge of disaster preparedness. Chris is a guy who makes a lot of noise about everything. And then, of course, you know that Honorable here, Jack, is a member of Parliament for Bali Municipality. And, of course, the distinguished member of
Alan,
The Fourth Estate.
When the madness of an entire nation
disturbs
Obore, it's not enough to say Obore is mad.
Yeah, but
it's a nation which is mad.
Absolutely.
But it could also simply be that you're mad.
Along with the rest of the nation. But Martin, what sort of disasters do you foresee as a ministry?
Well, this country...
What sort of disasters is Uganda exposed to, potentially?
The leading disaster we face is drought. And then the second one is flooding. The third one comes as landslides. We have epidemic diseases. We have earthquakes, which is so periodical, comes maybe once in 5 to 10 years. We have crop pests. We have hailstorms.
You're not talking about oil spills and things like that. That's nowhere
Well, we are looking...
Is drought a disaster?
Yes, drought is the leading disaster because we lose livestock.
So Israel is a disaster, perennial a disaster.
Well, drought, it depends on
there can only be one moderator on this show, right, Chris?
Yeah. So we have about 25. Now we have also included lightning. It is something which is a new phenomenon.
Yeah. So of all those disasters, which ones are you most prepared for?
Now, I think let me just put right what we mean by preparedness. Now, preparedness means that it starts at the individual level. You see, a country is made up of people. We don't have a country on one side and the population on the other side. Now, when I'm prepared, when you are prepared, when it's prepared, then the community gets prepared, and then the country eventually gets prepared. But to say that, well, Uganda is, as a country, the government is here prepared. So for us, we citizens, let's do everything we can in whichever way we want, because the country will rescue us when things happen. I think that's not correct. For example, drought.
So you should be helping NEMA with this whole issue around wetlands, right?
Drought. What you need is water. What you need is pasture.
Yeah.
But there is no single family in this country which cuts grass. You know what they call hay? It's a point of cutting grass, tie it and keep it, and during dry season you sprinkle water on it, and the cows eat.
Right.
Now, should people say that to prepare for drought, government should cut grass, store it for every family who has cows. You can make a pond, because in a number of other countries, people have water.
No, hold on a second. Stop attacking him just because he wants to. Let him make his point.
So here is a situation where people are saying, well, where is the water? Government should give them water. But government makes dams.
Please.
Just let me finish.
First of all,
just let me finish one point. Let me finish it.
You have made your point.
Government has built a number of dams over the years. Now, what is required is the silting, just removing the soils which come in and block the dams. Now, still people sit back, they make for you a community dam, and you are waiting for the government to come and remove the silt from it. I think that's demanding too much.
Well, you could also say...
Why on earth, why do you think that the government...
Alan, what have you taken?
Hold on a second. Why on earth do you think the government is responsible for all those things? Why should the government have to come and take out the silt?
First of all, the answer to this is first of all a structural one. I disagree with your characterization of what countries are. Countries are made of institutions. Yes. The standard definition of a country,
which are run by human beings,
is a state, that is established control of a specific territory. And those states, we judge them by the quality of their institutions. And the communities come second. That's why I'm a citizen. I carry a Ugandan passport. Now, that said, this government socializes everything. It's not like yesterday in the 60s, we had a dependent population. You have a basically socialist government that came in '86 that has socialized every single conceivable service: free education, free healthcare,
And what's wrong with that in a country?
No, but you see, then you can talk about the capacity. The commissioner here he wants to throw the responsibility back.
To the people.
You ask us to explain why the mentality of the people is that instead of maintaining a pond, or rather a waterway or whatever,
I put it down to what the government has done. That has actually socialized everything, Angelo.
It has basically socialized everything.
So that's part of the reason why people
and
don't take care of themselves.
You can add to that you have traffic lights right here in this city, placed there and never maintained. That roads are created without drainages.
How about we say that it's in part because we've had leaders that
all you have to say is, which the commissioner won't accept, is that structurally this government is incompetent in a way. And that incompetence is something we can address, which is why I worry if Bududa was an oil spill.
Okay,
and I can give you that scenario is a nightmare scenario.
I want to go back to what Martin said.
Fair enough. But also address this point.
Yes.
There's nothing to say that if you're in government, you'd not be facing the same challenges that Martin is pointing out.
No, change your policies.
I'll tell you about, change your policies, the most important. I'll tell you that. I want to disagree with Martin. How do you ask the citizens to be prepared for the drought? Weather pattern, it has changed, the whole ozone layer has changed.
Don't eat all the food, keep some for a rainy day. There is such thing as
how can an ordinary person control the drought? It's not possible. The floods.
So who's supposed to do that? Are you saying that that's the job of government?
Look what the floods.
No. Are you saying that's the job of government to take care of to make sure that people are fed in the drought?
He talked about valley dams. They were dry, there was no water. Look at why it's here when it rains in Kampala, the floods. You cannot put that to the people. It's the government. Now, what would happen if we're in government? Definitely, we wouldn't have all these ministries. We would have money to get valley dams and get water there. We would prepare the voice area that when there are floods, the water finds its way.
Okay, if we are responsible for ourselves, why do we need the government?
Yeah. So, what about you, Chris? Are your thoughts in line with this, or do you sympathize with what Martin is saying?
I can never sympathize with Martin. And I must tell you, first of all, I hope you give me time to give my points.
Make it get to the point.
Yeah, the issue is, well, first of all, we are dealing with a government which is an absentee government. You know, it is not there.
Where?
It's asleep. Government is resident somewhere in the US. It hears that there is a disaster in your home, then runs back. It comes and sees it, and then it says, okay, I go back. But it don't bring the issue of government, because even the commissioner will say resources are not enough.
Exactly.
Far from it. We have enough resources here.
Give me an example.
I can assure you,
Explain
I have done. Some of these commissioners, I'm sorry, you are just here because you are one of the commissioners, but I'm talking generally. Some of these commissioners, their wealth is more than their department budgets. You cannot be working in a poor government and then your asset portfolio is higher than the budget of your own department. That's what the problem is. Let's go analyze these issues correctly. So we can't say government is poor, OPM is undergoing. And the people working in the government have more assets than the government they are saying. Let me make this point. OPM is restructuring. And that report they admit actually the office has not been performing. But there is no single month, Alan, Ugandans have failed to pay a war. You can't. We pay all these technocrats.
Until recently.
You missed to pay 2 months. They will not work. But
if they're not that important, will they absence when they don't work?
But they are able to say.
Well, they notice if they don't work.
They will say, people, it's the responsibility of the people to take care of disaster. But it's our responsibility to pay a war every month. Allowances, fuel, and then if it is drought, it is our responsibility. Why do we pay you?
What? Responsibility of the people.
He's asking a question. So when you think about this,
I think
at what extent do you struggle to reconcile your technical obligations with the politics that goes with it?
I think if we go back to the issue of drought, you see, drought or flooding is not the problem. The problem is how we respond to it. And you put it rightly, Alan, that if you harvest and you sell all the produce, the food, and you drink much of it, the balance of it may be you buy a boda and you ride around. And then the drought comes. There is no food in your home. You throw the blame on the government. Now, should the government come and policy you not to sell all your food?
That's a fair question, guys.
But
then, can I respond to it?
Alan, it is a Alan, listen to this point.
Let me finish. Let me finish. I want to go to the flooding. You see, water passing through Boise did not start this year. did not start 10 years ago, did not start 50 years ago. It has been passing there since time immemorial.
What has government done about it? What has the ministry done about it?
Who in government told the people to go and clear the wetlands and settle there?
Okay, but that's in part because
so
of
the issue is, it is not.
I think that in part is because of the
yes,
incompetence of
partly,
government.
yes, I agree.
Yes.
But it is not that the government is the one who took people to the wetlands and settled them there. There are even big people like a honorable who have built factories on the wetlands where the water should have settled. The rich guys have gone there and cleared.
Who licenses those factories?
Done about it?
Who licenses the
but anyway, this is not a particularly shining point, Commissioner Ori, I must tell you, because there are city ordinances here in Kampala that govern everything. You know, you need a building permit, and that building, perhaps, you know, at least on paper, requires that you build in a location that is approved, that the building actually complies with particular specifications. Utilities are basically assigned. You know, all of these things are ideal situations because there's a metropolitan authority always that determines how you behave. Because, look, this business of passing the buck, which I call outsourcing, which is dangerous, like what happened in Bududa, you know, every time there's a disaster, you say, well, what's the government's coordinated response?
But what is
trampolines,
as a member of parliament
trampolines, you know, from UNHCR, food from WFP. This earth-moving equipment, which has taken, I don't know, 3-4 days to get from Kampala there, you know, I'm sure, and the commissioner has just told us, part of it is hired from a private farm. And this is just a landslide. Assuming that there was a deadly outbreak of disease, or a nightmare scenario now, like I pointed out with the oil spill, what will the government do? That variety of argument means that you outsource that responsibility to a third party. In the case of oil, it's probably the oil companies that would have caused the problem in the first place. But that's very, very dangerous thinking.
Political obligation. I think Jack and his political friends have absconded of the responsibility.
No, but Alan, let Chris put it like this: public policy.
Hold on a second. Let me ask my question first.
But you're putting an unfair what?
No. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. You haven't
Alan, today you drank something different.
Jack, you politicians also owe the electorate, the people of Bududa, the people of Mbale municipality which you represent, a duty of care to educate them on matters like the ones that are being raised by Commissioner Warren.
But
alas, you're involved in politics and politicking to the extent that you see this as an opportunity to knock the government.
Not at all. We don't take this as an opportunity to hit at the government. There's a full ministry which Ugandan is a fund to respond to disasters, and that's the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness. It's not actually prepared, as he has told us. They don't have anything. They don't have equipment. Leave that alone. Even the hospitals, there's nothing. So this government is not prepared for anything at all. If there's a disaster that has happened, they are not even ready to handle that disaster. It's a government in power that should respond to disasters in this country, and have failed to respond to
this is not entirely true.
When you take Bududa, what happened first? 2010, so many people died. I went to Bududa Hospital. I found people who had lost limbs. They were lying in great pain for 3 days. So you paid
them a visit?
Listen, yes,
a perfunctory visit?
I went to the hospital.
To do what?
To see those who had been injured. So to sympathize with them. Just a moment, Alan.
Right.
I went to the hospital, there was nothing. They were waiting for X-ray materials from Bombo Hospital. 3 days. There was nothing in the hospital. You had even this time, they said it on the floor of Parliament. The Prime Minister said that they were taking people to Mbale. Even in the hospitals, there's nothing. They are not prepared at all. Now, why do we have such a ministry? Okay. And the taxpayer is funding, is meeting the cost of the ministry.
I want to concede the point actually to Chris, because I had this conversation with a senior member of the cabinet. You know, the Ugandan government is not unresponsive. It's slow to respond. This is a question of competence and capacity. Now, I think at the core of it is their policies. And that is something we can debate.
Okay.
And the primary thing is, how does public policy in this country, and that's the challenge, become the first line of defense? Surely, if politicians owed their position to good public policies, all of this nonsense would end.
Let Chris talk about policy when we come back. We take a break right now. You're watching The Fourth Estate on NTV.